grade. Papa told me being the thing except bitch made. I'm strapped, nigga, to this fight. Please don't bring no switchblade. Saying want to hype you up is carrying you to get A. We real G's, the best trees can't take away this pain from me. I'm the second, but still had to make a name for me. Thuggin' nigga, in the street shit was plain to see. These niggas this there was training that they acting G. I come from niggas letting hammers go actively. Guaranteed to hit you nigga, we been practicing. So fuck that tough guy talk, don't act me G. Be ready for all that smoke when shit get back to me.
Niggas say they did, when they really didn't. Talking like they is, when they really isn't. All about my business, I've been on a mission. Niggas talk shit till we paying them a visit. Cause these niggas say they did, when they really didn't. Talking like they is, when they really isn't. These niggas be tripping, fuck all that you spitting. Nigga, if I talk about it, then I really live it. Real niggas only, bitch niggas no admittance. I don't fuck with rats, snakes, roaches, lizards, north, south, east, west. I'm in the hood like a gizzard. Running from it wrong tire war, got the biscuit. Ain't afraid to bang them hammers, so we call him Mr. Fix It. I don't trust a cracker, not a Ritz or a Triscuit. And I sip scotch, boy that shit delicious. And I love that black cat, girl. I ain't superstitious, but I'm all about my digits. Yeah, I'm all about my business. So if you ain't talking chicken, then mean you speaking no English. Till I'm fully flooded up with diamonds dancing like a vixen. Sick of all these rappers and all that bullshit they kicking. All these niggas soft and they look like bitches. Rainbow in your hair, you should join the coalition. Man, I just don't get it. I was raised different. Nigga, if I talk about it, then I really did it. But these niggas say they did, when they really did. Talking like they is, when they really isn't. All about my business, I've been on a mission. Niggas talk shit till we paying them a visit. Cause these niggas say they did, when they really did. Talking like they is, when they really isn't. These niggas be tripping, fuck all that you spitting. Nigga, if I talk about it, then I really live it. Nigga, I'm lit. Fuck you, pay me. Crit hoes love me, blood bitches say I'm crazy. Say she love my vibe cause the nigga's so wavy. I'm waiting. All my haters eat a dick. Sucker shit don't faze me. Underground love me, radios won't play me. Hit the club, kill the stage, nigga, then we Swayze. I'm waiting. I never wanted to be famous. See, I would rather be nameless. And everything that it came with, the love, the hate, I just embraced it. It's hard not to shine, my nigga, I can't escape it. 10 toes down, jugging hard on the pavement. Yeah, we had dreams, and we had to chase it. But they ain't wanna give it to us, so we had to take it. Respect the check high, nigga, you just name it. I let my nuts hang like some fringes. When I'm in your city, just point me where the skins is. Walk in this bitch, kick the door off the hinges. All my niggas strapped in all black like we ninjas. Rolling with some savages, steady after asparagus. Me and Ty splitting up the cream like failed marriages. These niggas is counterfeit, call them Judas Iscariot. Going hard till it swing low, sweet chariot. Nigga, I'm lit. Fuck you, pay me. Crit hoes love me, blood bitches say I'm crazy. Say she love my vibe cause the nigga's so wavy. I'm waiting. All my haters eat a dick. Sucker shit don't faze me. Underground love me, radios won't play me. Hit the club, kill the stage, nigga, then we Swayze. I'm waiting.
I got a way women love to ride. I got it going on for days and I'm kinda fly. Shorty said she had a piece, now she want the pie. Cause can't nobody do a better word than Shaka Khan. Hold on, we doing numbers like the Autobahn. The way you see a Hebrew dress look like Comic-Con. The way I keep it so fresh with the armor on. And every bar out of space like Andromedon. Yeah, but they ain't never seen me do it like this before. Got a style, leave them chomping at the bit for more. Could've died in the streets, I was pissed I'm poor. Now I'm in the truth, rocking out hits galore. Like even if the world don't see it, so be it. Long as the microphone fiends OD it. Homie, hope you see it, a vision as clear as day. And don't mind it if you missed it, them weirdos is in the way. But we waving.
Fuck you, pay me. Crit hoes love me, blood bitches say I'm crazy. Say she love my vibe cause the nigga's so wavy. I'm waiting. All my haters eat a dick. Sucker shit don't faze me. Underground love me, radios won't play me. Hit the club, kill the stage, nigga, then we Swayze. I'm waiting. Nigga, I'm lit. Fuck you, pay me. Crit hoes love me, blood bitches say I'm crazy. Say she love my vibe cause the nigga's so wavy. I'm waiting. All my haters eat a dick. Sucker shit shit don't faze me. Underground love me, radios won't play me. Hit the club, kill the stage, nigga, then we swayzy. I'm waiting.
You got it going on.
I share pain with my brother, share gain with my brother. You needed, I got it, know it ain't a thing for my brother. I would ride for my brothers, die for my brothers. If it's live through the time, step inside for my brothers. Fill the stage with my brother, wreck the game with my brothers. Stay the same, never switched up, never changed on my brothers. I would ride for my brothers, die for my brother. I would ride for my brothers, die. You where my niggas at?
The greatest weapon against hate and oppression taught me how to take a checking, cause it was really correction. Trying to make me better, will I forget it? Nigga, never. That's the reason I don't fall under pressure, cause brother wouldn't let me. My brothers would protect me from my enemies, by any means necessary. So when the iron starts to sharpen the steel, let's keep it real. Who gon' feed you if you ain't had a decent meal? Now I remember learning who Ephraim is, from this Puerto Rican kid who loved me more than my own people did. In the midst of the struggle, somehow I ran into another that taught me who did the will of the Father. That was my brother. As we continue to struggle, we gon' do it together. I guess that's what made me and my niggas special. Another level we gon' take it to. Mexicans, Haitians, and Jamaicans too. The God you brought have.
Shalom Israel, Yahba Shem Shabrak to all the brothers, Yahweh Shamar al Athan Bashem Yahushai. This is the I.S.U.P.K, which was started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I'm Priest and Officer of 50 Shariwan under Commanding General YAHANNA. Understand? Tonight is Wednesday's night law class. Wednesday night law class is going on around all schools in the I.S.U.P.K. every Wednesday night from 7 to 9. You can go to ISUPK.com to find out a school or to find a school near you. Understand? You can go on Google, you can type in I.S.U.P.K. and you'll find an I.S.U.P.K. school that is closest to you. Understand? And every Wednesday night, brothers in the school are teaching the law class. Understand? We're teaching the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Understand? This law class is all about Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians returning back to their culture, returning to the culture of their forefathers, returning to the culture that the Most High created for us. Understand? These laws, statutes, and commandments are here for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be able to socialize with each other. Understand? These laws, statutes, and commandments teach us how to treat our brothers and sisters, teach us how to be good fathers, good mothers, understand? Be good friends, showing brotherly love and sisterly love to each other. Understand? When you read through the 1611 King James Bible, you're going to read about the history of the children of Israel. You're going to read about how they are supposed to govern themselves. Understand? You read about a covenant between the children of Israel and the Most High, the creator of heaven and earth. You understand? And these laws, statutes, and commandments, these were created to be good for us. They were created to teach us on how to interact with one another, what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat. You understand? How we should treat this earth, how we treat each other, how we govern ourselves as a nation, how we're to interact with other nations. Understand? When we read through the 1611 King James Bible, you're going to read about structure, order. You're going to read about commandments given to us from the Most High. You understand? Everything in this Bible is about what a father is telling us to do, what a father tells us that we can and can't do. You understand? And when we don't listen to our father, like a good parent, he punishes us. When we listen to our father like a good parent, he rewards us. Understand? Let's jump to some scriptures in this Bible. We'll start off in let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, in the 1611 King James Bible reads, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God." What is this speaking about? This is talking to the children of Israel. You understand? This is talking to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. This is speaking to a particular nation, a particular race of people. And this particular nation, we have a covenant with the Most High. Understand? We have a covenant because we were his chosen people. You understand? He chose to communicate with the children of Israel. In the book of Romans, it says, what advantage has the Jew? To them were committed the oracles of the Most High. You understand? It's our job as our nation, you understand, to communicate to the earth what the Most High wants us to be doing. You understand? The nation of Israel, we were created for rulership. We were created to govern this world. You understand? To show other nations how they are to act, how they are to treat each other. You understand? The nation of Israel was created to judge other nations. You understand? We were created as rulers. We are meant to be a governing body on this earth and to execute judgment on this earth when people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You understand? So Deuteronomy 28 and 1 says, if this nation of people, if Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians would listen to the voice of the Lord their God, not only listen, but diligently listen. That word diligent, that word diligently in the Hebrews here is shema. And the definition of that is to hear, listen to, obey. To hear of or concerning. The Strong's definition is to hear intelligently, often with implication of attention, obedience, causatively to tell, attentively, carefully, with care, with discern. You understand? The nation of Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, this is something that should be very important. You understand? This is the foundation on what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are supposed to be doing. Understand? There's a man who walked this earth whose name's Christ, Yahweh in the Hebrew. And he taught the children of Israel that one of the most important things that we are to do is to put the Most High first in everything. Understand? To seek the Most High with all our heart, mind, and soul. With everything that we have, it should be our number one priority to make sure we are doing what the Most High wants us to be doing. Understand? That's our first job. to listen diligently, hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. This is important because this is what life is about. Our purpose as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is to do everything that the Most High tells us to do. You understand? The wisest man to ever walk this earth, King Solomon, said, "Be quick to hear and slow to speak." Listening is everything. Understand? As we learn to open our ears and pay attention to what the Most High wants, you understand, we would begin to live out our purposes. Understand? Quick shout out to the chat. Shalom, Sister Kawapa, Yao Shema, Lathan Bashim Yao Shai, Thawada for tuning in. Understand? As it says to hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, if we would make it a priority to make sure we are doing everything that the Most High commands us to do, you understand, the Most High would bless us. Let's keep reading. It says, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high. You understand? It's important. It's so important for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to really pay attention to what the Most High is saying. You understand? And specifically, to do all his commandments. We should be paying attention to what the Most High wants so that we can fulfill, we can complete every single order that the Most High gives us. That's what this whole 1611 King James Bible is about. You understand? It's an instruction manual for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on how they are to live their lives. You understand? It says to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God is a possessive word. You understand? The Most High is the God of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? This is what this 1611 King James Bible is talking about. It's talking about a particular nation of people and the commands that they are supposed to be following from the Most High God, from the Most High power. And if we would listen, it says that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. You understand? This is what the Most High wants for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. To be above all nations of the earth. You understand? Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, man, you were created to be on top. You were created to be above everybody on the face of the earth. You understand? But when you look at life today, when you look at what's going on this earth today, why is it that you see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on the bottom of every society on earth? You understand? We're going to read why in verse 15. It says, verse 15 says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. You understand? That word hearken, again, is the word shema, to hear, listen, to obey. To hear intelligently, attentively, carefully, diligently. You understand? If Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians would not put the Most High first in everything, you understand? When we go to apply for a job, we should be asking ourselves, what does the Most High want? Does the Most High want me working here? Does the Most High want me to live here? Does the Most High want me to marry this person? You understand? In everything we do, we should be listening diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. In everything. It says to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Meaning if blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians didn't listen and put the Most High first in everything, if blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians wouldn't do everything that the Most High commanded us to do, it goes on to read that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. You understand? This is why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are not above all nations on the face of the earth today. This is why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians aren't on top. You understand? In the book of Genesis, it says that the elder shall serve the younger. You understand? Because he understood that the nation of Israel, you understand, starting with our father Jacob, that nation, we were supposed to be on top. We were supposed to have servants. You understand? A whole other nation of people is meant to be serving us. You understand? But why is it that we don't see that today? Because blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians do not hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord thy God. You understand? We don't pay attention to everything that the Most High commands us to do. You understand? And because of that, curses befell us. Because of that, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, when we're shot down by the police, we don't get justice. We don't see justice. This whole year you had an organization called Black Lives Matter protesting no justice, no peace. The world understands that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we don't have any justice. You understand? And that's what's going on in the earth today. And so this law class is all about teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians what we are supposed to be doing. You understand? In the I.S.U.P.K, this school, which was established in 1969, we have been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians what they are supposed to be doing. You understand? And we find out by reading these scriptures. We find out by reading these, this history and these records of what our ancestors were doing when the Most High gave us this covenant. You understand? We wrote down the instructions on how we were supposed to be living. And when you read through the 1611 King James Bible, you see about the stories of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians obeying the voice of the Lord thy God or disobeying the voice of the Lord thy God. We read about the history of our nation being on top. We read about our nation being in slavery, being in captivity. We read about history and about stories of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians going through curses because we don't listen to our Father. Understand? And that's what this law class is all about. So since 1969, this school has been teaching what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are supposed to be doing. And when you look at the condition that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are in today, one of the things you have to look to is who are the people that we trust most doing to guide us and teach us. A lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are looking to Christianity. We're looking to the religion of Islam. You understand? Native Americans are looking to their spiritual leaders, their spiritual elders. And when you look at the condition that we're in today, we have to understand that as clear as day, is that our leaders have not been teaching us properly. Our leaders have not been guiding us properly. The leaders of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have literally failed us. They have taught us lies. They haven't taught us to hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. You understand? And tonight's class is about tearing down some of the lies of what the Christian church has taught. You understand? The Christian church has taught Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that they don't need to obey every word that their father has told them. You understand? In the Christian church, they teach that the laws of God are done away with. That you can eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand? That you can be lawless. You understand? Christianity has this whole understanding of if you would just love each other, then you would be doing what the Most High requires. Meanwhile, not breaking down and defining what it is to love each other, who it is that we're supposed to be loving, who it is we should be giving our love to, and who we shouldn't be giving our love to. What love looks like. You understand? In the Christian church, love is subjective. And when you look at the guidelines or the rules in Christianity, there really aren't any. There isn't this list of rules that you follow in order to be a good Christian. You understand? It just goes based off of what your pastor tells you. And unfortunately, your pastor isn't reading a lot of these scriptures in the Bible. A lot of Christian pastors have damn near told us to throw away 2/3 of the Bible. Get rid of the Old Testament. You understand? I heard a Christian pastor tell me, or a Christian pastor say, that if you just read the book of Romans and Acts, you would understand what it is to be a good Christian. You only got to read 2 books in the New Testament. And if you can understand the book of Acts and the book of Romans, you'll be a good Christian. Meanwhile, this Bible doesn't tell you how to be a good Christian. This Bible tells you how to obey your father. This Bible gives you the blueprint on how to listen diligently to what your father requires of you, what the Most High power requires of you. You understand? And we're gonna get into some of those scriptures. Let's jump to the book of 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles chapter 14, and we'll start at verse 2. And it reads, "And Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God." You understand? There is a time when Asa was a king, understand, a ruler over the nation of Israel. And the chronicles of this man is saying that he did that which was good and right in the eyes of Yahweh his power. You understand? Yahweh is the name of the power of Israel. You understand? And this king did which was right in his father's eyes. Now, as we read in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1, what it is to do right in the eyes of the Lord his God is to do everything that his father tells him. You understand? To hearken diligently, to listen attentively, and do what his father says. If we look at if we look at what that word chronicle means, the definition of chronicle is a factual written account of important or historical events in the order of their occurrence. You understand? Anybody watching or following this class, you can look up the definition of chronicle. This is the Oxford definition of it. And it says a factual written account of important or historical events in the order of their occurrence. You understand? The book of Chronicles is the history of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? The book of Chronicles isn't just history, but it's important history. And when you read verse 2, it says, King Asa obeyed the Most High. He did that which was right in the eyes of the Most High, meaning an important record of history for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is talking about or speaking about a man or a woman who does what the Most High requires them to do. You understand? This is what matters most for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. The book of Ecclesiastes, I think it's chapter 12 and verse 13, it says, the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments. The whole duty of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is to do what the Most High requires us to do. And you're not going to understand that if you throw away the Old Testament. You understand? And this class, again, is about tearing down some of the lies that our spiritual leaders have taught us. Unfortunately, some of the lies that our parents have taught us. And a lot of us, our parents handed us a Bible. You understand? They handed us a Bible and they said, this is how you be a good person. They told us, go to church. Listen to what your pastor says. You understand? And if you would follow your pastor and read this Bible, you would learn how to be a good person. And a lot of us grew up believing this. But when we look at what the Bible really says, we learn that a lot of this was just lies. So we don't have to hate our parents. We don't have to hate our pastors. We don't have to hate our religious leaders. You understand? We just have to understand that they taught us lies. You understand? We have to understand that they just didn't know any better. And this is why it's so important what the school of I.S.U.P.K does. We are teaching the truth to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on what it is they are supposed to be doing. You understand? All I did was read one verse in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. You understand? And I just read that verse as almost as a foundation for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Why hasn't your Christian pastor read that verse to you? Why didn't your parents tell you that the nation of Israel is supposed to listen and obey their father? Why didn't anybody teach you who you are? What's the identity of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? How do you know you're supposed to obey every command that your father says if you don't know you're an Israelite? And this is why, again, it's so important about what the I.S.U.P.K is doing. You understand? The men under Commanding General YAHANNA are teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians their identity. You understand? The secret's out. You understand? The men of the Lord have done the research. The real men of the Lord have read these scriptures, broke down this Bible, and have begun to teach it to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And they're doing that for your benefit. You understand? They're doing that so that you would learn to hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord your God and obey him. You understand? Let's keep reading. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 14 and verse 2. And Asa did which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. You understand? Meaning, this king in that time of history, this was an important part of history for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. An important record of our history is to know about the people that obeyed the Most High. Understand? Verse 3 says, for he took away the altars of the strange gods. What does that mean? This king, he threw away the altars of the strange gods. An important time of history for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians was when a king of the nation of Israel threw away Christianity. You understand? He threw away the religion of Islam. He threw away Buddhism. You understand? He threw away all these worldly religions and philosophies that were taught. No different from what's happening today. This king threw away strange gods. And it reads, and the high places. You understand? Anything that a leader in society, somebody in a high place, you understand? Somebody like a governor or a judge, you understand? Or a doctor, somebody of great reputation. These philosophies that they teach, this King Asa threw that away. And it reads, and break down the images and cut down the groves. You understand? A grove is like a cross. You understand? The images and the groves, that's like this King Asa, he threw away the picture of Caesar Borgia. He threw away the picture, the fake picture of Christ. You understand? When we read in the book of Revelations, we see that our King Christ, Yahawashi in the Hebrew, he was a black man. You understand? But if you go into your auntie's house, you're going to see a picture of some white man with long stringy hair, you understand, with the name of Jesus Christ under it. You understand? Verse 3 says, and he break down the images and cut down the groves. Something that was happening 3,000 years ago is happening today. You understand? This king threw those things away. He threw away the lies of what his parents taught him. He threw away the lies of his religious leaders. You understand? And this is an important part of history. This is something Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians should look back on and learn from. You understand? One of the disciples of Christ said, I'm paraphrasing, he says, remember the days of old. You understand? Consider the years of many generations, or consider what our forefathers did. You understand? It's important for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to look back on history and see where our nation fell. You understand? See how our forefathers had success. And learn from that so we don't have to repeat it. Learn from our history so that we don't have to repeat the mistakes of our ancestors. All right, verse 3 says, or Salakia, verse 4 says, and commanded Judah to seek the Lord God of their fathers. Again, an important part of history. What King Asa did for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, he commanded Judah to seek the Lord their God. Who is Judah? The men of the Lord under the I.S.U.P.K understand and have taught who Judah is. They understand Judah is one of the sons of Jacob. Judah is one of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Today, you would see that as the so-called Negroes. You understand? Sometimes in the scriptures, you read Judah being referred to as the southern kingdom. Judah is sometimes, depending on the context, speaking about your so-called Negroes, your so-called West Indians, and your so-called Haitians. You understand? This king commanded the tribe of Judah to obey their father, and to do the law and the commandment. You understand? This is a very important time in history for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? To be able to recognize who a righteous man of the Lord is. A righteous man of the Lord is somebody who tells you to obey your father. It's somebody who tells you to obey the laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? Let's jump to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 15. Quick shout out to the chat. Shalom, Sarah, daughter of Zion, Yahweh Shemar Alathan, Bashim El Shai. The water for tuning in, sis. You understand? Tonight's class is about breaking down some of the lies of Christianity. You understand? For too long, the Christian church has taught us the laws of the Most High are done away with. You understand? But we're going to break that down. We're going to break down the truth of the Bible. You understand? We're going to break down the truth of what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are supposed to be doing. All right, we're in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 15, starting at verse 3. You understand? And again, that word chronicle, if you're just tuning in, the definition of chronicle is a factual written account of important or historical events in the order of their occurrence. You understand? This book of Chronicles is an important part of history for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? These are important events that took place in the history of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. 2 Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 3 says, now for a long season, Israel hath been without the true God. You understand? If you look at Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians today, for a very long season, we have been without the Most High. You understand? For far too long, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have been without the truth of the Bible. I'm going to keep reading, and it says, and without a teaching priest, and without law. You understand? For far too long, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have been without the law. We have been without teaching priests. We have been without the Most High. You understand? The same things that went on back then are the same things going on today. You understand? And again, these are an important part of history. An important part of history is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians obeying the Most High and disobeying the Most High. You understand? And if you look at blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians today, this is why we're at the bottom. You understand? Like we read in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15, it says, if we wouldn't listen, diligently listen, put the Most High first in everything. If we wouldn't listen and obey him, then certain curses would come upon us. We would be at the bottom. We wouldn't be on the top. You understand? And this is why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are on the bottom today. Because we don't listen to the Most High. You understand? Not only did we not listen to the Most High, but because of it, for a long time, a long season, we've been without teaching priests. You understand? But we want to fix that. We want to correct that. That's what we're doing in the I.S.U.P.K. So let's jump to the New Testament. You understand? To see what Christ taught. You understand? Because a lot of our religious leaders told us that we don't need to read the Old Testament. We don't need to get into the Old Testament. So even if we throw away the Old Testament, let's read what the New Testament says. All right, let's jump to the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. Matthew 5 and verse 17 says, quick shout out to the chat. Shalom, Kayala, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai Brakatham. Thawada for tuning in. So this is what it says in the New Testament. You understand? Matthew 5 and verse 17. So if you look in your 1611 King James Version Bible, you'll see that these words are red letter. Understand? Anytime you see red letter, this is Christ speaking. You understand? This is a prophet of God speaking. You understand? And a prophet speaks what the Most High says. A prophet is somebody who communicates to the earth, who communicates to the nation of Israel what the Most High wants to be communicated. And Shalom, Adawan, Yahbashim Yashabrakatha.
Hey, Shalom, Yahbashim Yashabrakatha. How's it going, priest?
Everything's Tawab, sir.
Kanak, let's get it. Where are you reading from? Matthew 5:17?
Khan, sir.
All right, I got it for you.
Khan, go ahead when you got it, sir.
Khan, hold up. Let me get there right now.
No sweat. So this is Christ speaking. Understand? This is a prophet of the Most High. You understand? This is an oracle of the Most High. You understand? Speaking to the nation of Israel what it is that they are supposed to be doing. You understand? Go ahead and read that, sir.
Khan. Matthew 5:17. Think not that I come to destroy the law.
Read that again.
Prophets.
Says, think not. You understand me? You understand? Don't entertain this thought. Don't get it in your head. You understand? This is something that Christ is telling you. Do not do. You understand? At all costs, do not do this. Think not. Read that again.
Khan. Think not that I came, Salakia. Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
God, meaning don't get it in your head that Christ coming to his people, understand, Christ walking this earth and teaching the nation of Israel what it is they're supposed to be doing, don't get it in your head that he came to do away with the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? What the Most High told the children of Israel to do 4,000 years ago is the same thing we're supposed to be doing today. You understand? Keep reading.
Right. Or the prophets.
Read.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Khan. And some of our religious leaders, somehow they twist the scripture to say, first of all, don't get it in your head that I came to destroy the law.
Right.
But in the very next sentence, Christ contradicted himself and said, I did away with the law by fulfilling it. You understand? Like, that makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
You understand? When he's saying, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets, meaning don't get it in your head that I did away with these things, but this is what I came to do. I came to fulfill. I didn't come to destroy it.
Right.
I came to fulfill it. You understand? And what that word fulfill means, you understand? Almost think about if you're somebody whoever watches basketball, you understand? You'll see brothers who make the Olympic team. You understand? They'll jump up and say, I finally fulfilled my goal. You understand? I finally get to play for my country. You understand? Like they've achieved something great. You understand? People will say, I fulfill my goals. You understand? That word fulfill meaning like you made it. You completed something. You understand? Imagine if I tell somebody, go to the basement and turn all the lights off in the basement. When that person comes back to me 5 minutes later and says, I turned all the lights off, I'm finished. That's what it means to fulfill something. You understand? Christ didn't come so that you could be a homosexual. You understand? Christ didn't come so that you could now start eating pork. You understand? That makes no sense.
Right.
When you read through the Old Testament, you see pork is an abomination. It's something that's disgusting in the Most High's eyes. You understand? Christ came, he didn't eat pork. You understand? He fulfilled his job. He fulfilled his orders. He completed what it is he came to do. You understand? When you read through the Old Testament, you'll read about some of the prophecies that Christ was supposed to fulfill. Some of the orders that Christ was supposed to complete. You understand? Christ says he didn't come on his own accord, but he came to do the will of his Father. You understand? Meaning the Most High, his Father, gave him an order, and he completed it. He fulfilled it. You understand? Christ didn't come and die so that you could continue to be a homosexual, so that you could continue to sleep with other men's wives. You understand? So that you could continue to keep robbing people and dealing treacherously with one another.
Right.
You understand? Christ came to show you that you could change. He came and to show you that you don't have to be a homosexual. You don't have to sleep with another brother's wife. You don't have to eat pork. You understand? You don't have to rob people in business, to lie and cheat with your brothers and sisters. That's what Christ came and fulfilled. You understand?
Salakia, priest.
Come on, concert.
It's so heavy what you're saying, because like if the pastors and the pork eating religious leaders that are in the Black, Hispanic, and Native community, right, tell Black people, Hispanics, and Native Americans that they need to keep the law. Like if Creflo Dollar was to say, y'all need to keep the law, that would mean he can't steal the Tides money to buy a $60 million jet.
Damn
right? These pastors can't wear gaiters, right? And you would think that the world now knows that you have to keep the law after the last year and a half, right? Because Leviticus tells us not to eat bat, right? You would think after all the I don't want to wear a mask and I can't get a haircut protest that our oppressors did, you would think that them and the Moabites would know you can't eat bats, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you got to realize that you got to keep the law. That's the only thing that's gonna save you and keep you from out of oppression is doing what the Father says. How you gonna ask the Father to save you, but you won't do nothing? You want to celebrate a white man on Father's Day, but won't celebrate Feast of First Fruits or any of his high holy days.
Right.
Salakia.
Right. Damn right. Damn right. That would be so backwards. You understand? Right. Piggyback off what you're saying. For Christ to come so that you could continue to do what you've been doing.
Right.
You understand? Like we got to come out of those lies that these people have taught us. You understand? Christ taught us how to be better people. You understand? And we read that throughout every account about what he taught and what he did.
Right.
You understand? All the accounts of Yahweh, who the world calls Jesus Christ, they're all about people being better. You understand? They're all about the examples that he left for us. You understand? Let's drop that and jump to Mark 13.
God. If I may, right? It's like we had a conversation with a brother this weekend, right? And he said he can't keep the law. He can't be perfect. When Christ showed us, right, in this verse that he came to show us how to be perfect, how to keep the law. He kept every law.
Come. Damn right. Like Christ told Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be ye therefore perfect.
Right.
Even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. You understand? Christ not only told us to keep the law, but Christ said be perfect. You understand? Keep every single one of the commandments that your Father has told you to do.
Right.
You understand? That's what this whole 1611 King James Bible is about. About Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians fulfilling the orders that their Father has told them. You understand? That's the whole duty of man. The whole duty of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? And we're supposed to obey him and listen to him because we have to understand that we are judged by everything that we do. You understand? If you don't listen to your Father, you are going to be judged. If you listen to your Father, you're going to be judged. So it would be wise for you to do what your Father is telling you to do. You understand? Let's jump to Mark 13 and verse 4.
God. Mark 13, verse 4. Tell us, when shall these things be?
Right. This is These are the disciples speaking to a black man named Christ. Keep
Right.
reading.
And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled?
So in the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and 17, Christ, if you go one verse down, it tells you, till heaven and earth pass, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law until all be fulfilled. Understand? So if you jump to Mark chapter 13 and verse 4, we're going to read about what are some of the things that are supposed to be fulfilled. So what are some of the things that are supposed to be complete? You understand? Before we even address looking at the laws, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
Understand? Let's jump down to verse 7.
God.
Because these are some of the things that need to be fulfilled. Read.
And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet.
When you look at today, we're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. You understand? We're seeing Palestine shooting bombs or rockets off at Israel. You understand? Right. The people that are living in Israel. You understand? You see the people living in Israel shooting bombs back at the Palestinians. You understand? These are wars and rumors of wars. And when you see these things, the end is not yet. All things are not fulfilled yet. Keep reading.
Come. Verse 8, for nation shall rise against nation.
Some of the things we're seeing now. Keep reading.
And kingdom against kingdom.
Read.
And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places. And there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows.
These things that are happening on earth right now, these are just the beginning of sorrows. Meaning there's a lot more sorrows to come. You understand? You see what's happening on the earth right now with COVID-19. You see all the people in an uproar complaining about this disease. This is only the beginning of sorrows.
Right.
There's a lot more things that need to be fulfilled. Keep reading.
Verse 9. Salakia. Mark 13, verse 9. But take heed to Salakia. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to Salakia, to councils.
Drop down to verse 10.
Come. And the gospel must first be published among all nations.
This is something else that has to come to pass. You understand? Christ isn't coming back until the gospel is published among all nations. Meaning Christianity can't have the gospel.
Right.
You understand? The Islam religion can't have the gospel. The whole world knows about those religions. You understand? The gospel must be published. This is something that has to happen before all is fulfilled. You understand? Since 1969, I.S.U.P.K, we've been publishing the gospel. You understand? What is the gospel? When we read about in Deuteronomy 28, one of the curses is that we would be sold to our enemies as bondmen and bondwomen. The gospel meaning good news. The good news is that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are going to be saved from the oppression that they're in.
Right.
They're going to be saved from their slavery. They're going to be saved from those that hate them. You understand? The good news for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is that the so-called white man is going to pay for all the crimes he's done to the children of Israel. You understand? The good news is that the so-called white man is going to pay for residential schools. He's going to pay for putting blacks to sleep in their own piss and their own, you understand, women going on their menstrual cycles and having to sleep in that on cargo slave ships. You understand? The so-called white man is going to pay for these crimes. That's good news for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they don't know about that yet. You understand? Matter of fact, on this weekend, Officer Zabadia and myself, we were speaking to a brother about what do you think should happen for some of these crimes that have taken place. Right? So, like, do you remember his answer?
He didn't have the answer. So, Salakia.
That brother, he didn't know what should happen.
Right.
To these devils for what they've done. You understand? That brother, he doesn't know the gospel. He doesn't know the good news. You understand? He doesn't know that there's going to be repayment for all the wicked those people have done. And Christ isn't coming back until every brother and sister knows what's going to happen. You understand? So until that day, don't get it in your head that it's okay to eat pork. Don't get it in your head that you can eat shrimp, crab, or lobster. You understand? Your Christian pastor is never going to tell you that. And these are some of the lies that we're tearing down in the I.S.U.P.K.
Right.
Right? Let's jump to verse 26.
Come on. Matthew 8:26. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory.
So when you read from around verse 7 up to 26, we read about all the things that must come to pass. You understand? Before Christ has completed, Christ has fulfilled what he's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You understand? Has anybody written down any records of Christ coming out the sky in his glory? You understand? Has anybody seen Christ coming out the sky with his angels in those chariots? You understand? This is a prophecy of something that's going to happen. And Christ is saying, until you've seen that, all things have not been fulfilled. You understand? Keep reading.
And then, Salakia, verse 27, and then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost parts of the earth to the uttermost parts of heaven.
Come. That word heaven, you understand? That word heaven is our kingdom. That word heaven is a good place for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? If you ask Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians today, are you living in heaven?
Right.
Right? No Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian is going to tell you that.
Salakia. Hell is in Canada.
Damn right.
It freezes over from October to like March. Hell freezes over. Salakia.
Damn right. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are not living in our heaven. You understand? That good news for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to get out of the condition that we're in, you understand, and to be in our heaven, be in our rulership, that hasn't happened yet. You understand? The angels haven't come and gathered us from the foremost, uttermost parts of the earth. You understand? These things have to happen. You understand? These are the things that Christ is coming to fulfill. And these things haven't happened yet. Let's jump to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 1.
Con.
You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we got to stop being deceived from what these Christian pastors are teaching us. You understand? They want to teach you one part of the Bible and speak as if it's true, but if they put their complete understanding of the Bible, there's so many holes in it. You understand? There's almost a saying in Christianity where it's like, don't ask the pastor that question. You understand? That's too hard for the pastor to answer. Or go pray about it. You understand? Your pastor doesn't have all the answers for you because your pastor doesn't understand the Bible. You understand? He can't cohesively put all these scriptures together.
Right.
Right. Quick shout out to the chat. Shalom, Angel Da Joseph. I believe you're a sister. Shalom, Yahweh Shemar Lathan Bashim Yahushai. The water for tuning in. I'm not sure. Send the link. It's no sweat. We'll keep going. You understand? But your Christian pastor, they can't cohesively put together this whole Bible. You understand? There's too many contradictions in what they believe and what they teach. Right? We got to come back to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. We got to come back to what our forefather King Asa did. You understand? We got to teach our children. We got to teach our nation to obey the voice of the Lord thy God. You understand? Diligently obey him in everything that we do. You understand? And we would begin to learn how if we would first humble ourselves and understand that we don't know what it is to obey our Father. You understand? If we would humble ourselves down to say we don't understand what it is the Father is trying to teach us, what the Father is trying to tell us. You understand? But to go to a real priest and prophet of the Most High, you understand, and to listen to what it is they're saying.
Right.
All right. Go ahead and read Matthew 12 and verse 1.
Con. Matthew 12, verse 1. At that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were an hungered, and began to pluck the ears of the corn and to eat.
Right. So this is a story. This is an account of something that was going on with Christ. You understand? It starts off by saying that Christ is with his disciples. You understand? And people were seeing what his disciples were doing. Keep reading.
Con. Verse 2. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day.
So these disciples of Christ, a disciple is somebody, is a student. You understand? A disciple is somebody who is following somebody, who is learning from somebody. You understand? The disciples of Christ were people who were learning from what Christ was teaching. And there were Pharisees. A Pharisee is almost like your religious leaders today.
Right.
You understand? A Pharisee is somebody who is teaching the people what the Most High requires of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? These are people claiming to be speaking on the Most High's behalf.
Right.
You understand? And these people were questioning what the disciples were doing. These people were questioning what the followers of Christ were doing, because Christ was going around saying that I'm doing the will of the Father. You understand? Christ was going around saying, I understand what it is that the Most High requires of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
And so these Pharisees, these religious leaders, were saying, what did they say? Read that again from the middle.
Con. Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day.
Right. So if your Christian pastor is teaching you the law is done away with, you understand? Why were the Pharisees questioning the disciples of Christ, saying, why aren't you doing that which is lawful?
Right.
Why aren't people that are following you keeping the laws of the Most High? You understand? Keep reading.
Con. Verse 3. But he said unto them,
So now this is Christ responding to these leaders, saying, why aren't your followers doing that which is lawful? Keep reading.
have ye not read that David did when he was hungered, and they that were with him?
So now Christ responded to these religious leaders. Christ was checking them, saying,
Right.
if you're accusing my followers of not keeping the law, why don't you read about what King David did? You understand? If the law was done away with, Christians, why is Christ checking these leaders? Why is the person that you claim to be following, why is he saying to the Pharisees, well, why don't you look at what King David did? Why didn't Christ say, well, we don't have to keep the law anymore?
Right.
Why didn't Christ say, well, you don't have to keep the Sabbath? You understand? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't go along the lines of what you guys are teaching, that the laws are done away with. You understand? And so just as Christ was correcting the Pharisees here, the men of the Lord in the I.S.U.P.K, we have to correct what these Pharisees, what these Christian pastors are teaching today. You understand? We have to check your Christian pastors and say, well, why don't you read the Old Testament? Why don't you read about the stories of what other righteous men of the Lord were doing? You understand? King David was a righteous man.
Right.
King David had damn near 10 wives. You understand? Look at what that man was doing. He was righteous. Look to what he was doing so that you guys can understand the Sabbath better. Right? Keep reading.
Salaki, I gotta find my place again. Salaki, one moment.
We're in verse 4 out of 1.
Con. Verse Matthew 12, verse 4. How he entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priest.
So Christ was checking the hell out of these leaders.
Right? That was a cut.
He's cutting them to piss. Salakia.
Right.
He's saying, look at what these priests were doing. You understand? The priests were teaching on the Sabbath. The priests were eating this food, cutting it up, You understand? Giving it out to the people. The priests were making sacrifices to the Most High. Look at what these priests were doing. And you're trying to check my disciples, my followers, on why they're doing this?
Right. Salakia.
Come.
First, to the sis Angelda Joseph, you're in with us right now, right? If you're looking for, depending on the city, you could always hit up ISUPK.com, go to look for your location, and there's a number you could call, and you could always someone will pick up, and you could get to a class, right? If you have any questions, you could type it in, right? So Salakia, what I was gonna say is Salakia, I just lost it. I just had it to exactly what I was going to say. It was based off what you were saying. Oh, Salakia, I got it. Right. So just like the Pharisees were trying to make Christ stumble, right? And Christ was checking them. Like, I remember having a conversation with a Christian, right? So I said, we can't celebrate Christmas. Why are we celebrating Christmas? Like, there's nothing under that tree for us, right? Who goes into the forest and cuts down a tree to drag it into their house, right? And so I said, we should celebrate the Passover. And this Christian, she would, Salaki, it was a heathen though, but this Christian said, so if you celebrate the Passover, is that going to make you closer to God? And what's the difference between Christmas? I just looked at him. All right, Lord be with you. Like, enjoy the kingdom. Once I'm like, you're a heathen anyways. What? I'm wasting my time right now. Like, what am I doing? Where are the sisters and the brothers at?
Khan, that's like just a little off topic. For any brother in the school, you understand?
Right.
Just take a lesson from Officer Zabadia. You understand? This is a man who follows Christ. When he went to go and check this heathen, you understand, he went on the offensive. You understand? He wasn't just sitting there defending what he believes, you understand? But he was asking them questions. You understand? He was going on the offensive to say, well, how does this make sense?
Right.
You understand? How does cutting down a tree and dragging it in your house make sense? You understand? Because Officer Zabadia is a real priest of the Most High. You understand? He understands the spirit that we're supposed to be moving in. You understand? And this is what Christ was doing. You understand? Christ was checking them. He was checking their knowledge. You understand? He was checking how much they read, how much they knew.
Right.
He was checking, does this really make sense what you're trying to teach the people?
Right.
Right? That's exactly what was going on here. All right, let's keep reading.
Where we at? Verse 5. Matthew 12, verse 5. Or have you not read in the law how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless?
God, Christ was saying, well, look at these priests. According to you guys, they profane the Sabbath.
Right.
Why is the scriptures say that they're blameless? Understand? Why are the scriptures saying that these are righteous men of the Lord? You understand? These Pharisees, they didn't understand the law. You understand? It's the same thing with these fake Israelites teaching you can't cook on the Sabbath. You understand? Because just like these Pharisees were reading, these Pharisees read, don't kindle a fire. And then they went on to teach, you got to lay in your bed all day. You can't do nothing.
Salakia, man. like the fake Israelites, man, they need to bring their kids to the I.S.U.P.K. Just give us the kids. We'll raise the kids. You're starving the kids. They don't want to eat cold sandwiches. Cook them a hot meal. How are you going to say you can't cook, but I turn my light on? Right? They turn the light on. They just, Salakia. Man, just bring the kids to the I.S.U.P.K. so we can raise them. We'll make them good sisters and priests and prophets of the Lord. You can't do it.
Yeah,
Or
right.
just come to class. Get in class, be quiet, and just ask questions. And take the answer.
Damn right. You understand? These people use the Bible to hurt people.
Right.
And they're not using this Bible to teach. Understand? They're not using this Bible because they love their brothers and sisters.
Right.
Understand? They're teaching these lies because they're trying to hurt these people. You understand? They don't understand the scriptures, and they're not using it for good. They're not using it for what the Most High intended it to be used for.
Right.
You understand?
And Salakia, here's another one. It gets really cold in Israel as well. Certain parts where Israelites lived, right? Back in the day, it gets cold. Like, so you're gonna let your children freeze? You have a newborn child, you're gonna let it freeze to death? Now it's a newborn icicle? Like, I don't understand. Right? The fake Israelites and Christians, they're just disgusting. They don't understand the Bible, but just like Captain Tazariak said, right? The Bible's the one thing that everybody wants to pick up and act like they know it, right? They won't pick up a book about heart surgery and act like they know how to be a heart surgeon, or they'll pick up the book, our records, and act like they know exactly what's going on.
Damn right. Damn right. Let's keep reading. I'm gonna try to speed up a bit. I got a couple more scriptures to bring out.
Con. Salakia, your mic is kind of chipping in and out right quick. Not sure exactly what's going on. You know the oppressor's internet is very finicky. The oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, and he likes to mess with our classes whenever they can.
Salakia, if I get too bad, just let me know. Maybe I'll reconnect.
Yeah, it's kind of getting there now, but it sounds like a lot of reverb at the moment.
Can you yeah. Can you read down to verse 12 of Kisha?
In verse 12?
I think we're around verse 7.
Khan.
If you could read down to verse 12, I'm gonna restart my internet.
Khan.
I'll be right back. I'll break it down when I get back. Salakia.
Khan. Right, so we're gonna read Matthew 12, verse 8. Salakia, where do... Right, so we're going to read verse 7. But if Matthew 12, verse 7. But if ye had knoweth that, Salakia, knoweth what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. Right? So these Pharisees, they didn't care about the law. They just liked the power that they had, right? They knew that Christ came and that Christ has authority, so they were jealous of that, right? And Christ, he's checking them. He's telling them, you're trying to blame the guiltless, right? Like you're saying that my disciples are breaking the law for eating corn when they're hungry. He checked them. He said David ate the showbread. The priest let him eat the showbread. The priests weren't blamed. Right, Salakia. To the sis, the I.S.U.P.K has been open since 1969. Right, the I.S.U.P.K has been open since 1969, teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that they are the Israelites of the Bible. Right, and to your question, one second. right? So you got to ask yourself this question, right? If the door knocks at 3 in the morning and it's you and your head, meaning your husband, right? The man you lay down with, the door knocks at 3 in the morning. Are you going to answer it, or are you going to tell your husband to answer it? Now, the door knocks at 3 in the morning and it's killers. Are you going to go fight the killers, or do you want your husband to defend yourself, right? And it's that way because that's how the Lord said it, right? That's why the man is the head of the relationship, because God said the man's the head of the relationship. Right? Throughout sis, right? Give Sister Kalpa a hand, right? Right? She knows, right? Because I'm not gonna let my rib answer the door at 3 in the morning when the killers are there. I'm going to the door, and me and the killers, we're gonna get it in, and the killers are going in a body bag. And any man that wants his wife to defend him, that is not a man. Real men are in the I.S.U.P.K, right? So let's get back to these precepts. Matthew 12:7. But if ye had knoweth that this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, ye would not have condemned the guiltless. Right? Verse 8. For the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath day. Right? So Christ is checking them. He's letting them know, like, listen, I'm the Lord. I have the authority on this earth, right? He's telling them, I have the authority under Yahawashi, Salakia, under Yahweh, right? Who's his father, our power, God, right? And he's letting them know that even on the Sabbath, I have authority. And if I'm telling you it's right, it's right. Verse 9. Right? And that's like, listen, the Christian church will tell you to do everything you're not supposed to do. Right? You just look at the Christian church. There's nothing good in it. Right? Our sisters are getting molested in the Christian church. Right? Our brothers are, Salakia, damn near, like, there's no strong men in the Christian church. Right? All the men in the Christian church, they're either effeminate or they like this month, right? Pride month. Salakia.
Salakia, just having some technical difficulties.
Khan, priest, you're back. You're Tawab. I'm gonna hand the class back over to Officer 50 Shaywan. You got it. I read Salakia. I read verse 8.
Okay, Khan. Let's go from verse 9 to 12.
Khan, I'll read it for you. Thawada. Matthew 12, verse 9. And when he was departed thence, he went into their synagogue.
Oh, Salakia. Can we jump back to verse 8? Or Salakia. So what's happening here is, you see in verse 8, Christ was basically checking the hell out of these Pharisees.
Right.
And he was just saying, like, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. You understand?
Right.
I'm somebody greater than some of these priests that we read about is standing right in front of you. You understand? I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. Who are you to ask me what my disciples are doing?
Right. Asking questions.
Right. Let's keep reading.
I'll start again from verse 8. Matthew 12, verse 8. For the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath day. Verse 9. And when he was departed, thence he went into their synagogue.
Keep reading.
10. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked.
So a picture of somebody with a withered hand is almost imagine somebody, a homeless person living on the street.
Right.
Man, or somebody who's been on drugs for the last 10 years. You understand? You're going to look at them and you're going to look at them almost as if they're kind of sickly. You understand? Maybe they haven't been eating a lot. You understand? Or all the drugs they've been taking is really messing with their body. You understand? So they're going to look a little withered away. Right? Keep reading.
Salakia, hold up. And they asked him, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? That they might accuse him.
Keep reading.
Verse 11. And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out?
So after Christ went and checked the hell out of all these Pharisees, he went on to start teaching, saying, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. You understand? I'm the high priest. I understand what the Most High wanted.
Right.
And he begins to start teaching his disciples and teaching the Pharisees what it is we're actually supposed to be doing. You understand? And he said, is it not good to do that which is right on the Sabbath? You understand? What that looks like today is you see another Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian on the side of the road because their car tire went out. You're not just going to drive by that man and not help them.
Right.
You're not just going to drive by that family and not help them because it's the Sabbath. You understand? It's right to do that which is good. You understand? It's right to love Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
Right to teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians what it is they're supposed to be doing according to the Most High. You understand? And this is what the Pharisees didn't understand. Now, to that brother Gabar in the chat saying that the laws have changed, why is Christ teaching here that we are supposed to keep the Sabbath? If we're not supposed to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, why didn't Christ tell these Pharisees the laws have changed, we don't have to keep the Sabbath anymore? Or the laws have changed, we don't have to keep the Sabbath the way we used to?
Right.
No, Christ is teaching what it is to keep the Sabbath. You don't understand the scriptures, and that's why you make comments like that. The laws aren't done away with. The laws haven't changed. You understand? The only thing that you see different, which isn't a change in the law, it's just the way that we repent of our sins. You understand? There were sacrifices for sin back then. Christ is our sacrifice today. You understand? The laws have not changed. You understand? The law, statutes, and commandments are good for the Most High. Salakia, just for time's sake, let's keep going into these scriptures. Let's drop that. Let's jump to the book of Acts, chapter 21 and verse 20.
Come. Acts 21, verse 20.
Khan, Gabar, Tazire. And again, when you quote that scripture, Hebrews 7 and verse 12, nobody's running from these scriptures. You understand? You don't pull up a scripture to contradict something else. You pull up a scripture, you understand, to put all these scriptures together.
Right.
You understand? When you bring up Hebrews 7 and verse 12, you understand, saying for the priesthood being changed, Christ is our high priest. That doesn't contradict. As you read in verse 10, Christ is the Lord of the Sabbath. You understand? He is a high priest.
Right.
And he is teaching us how to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments.
And Salakia, like the Old Testament priesthood was only the Levites, right? Now all 12 tribes can be priests and disciples.
Khan.
Salakia, what was that verse you were looking for?
We're going to go to Acts 21 and verse 20.
Khan.
You understand? And one more thing, brother, that even that Levitical priesthood, to piggyback off what you're saying, you have to understand why the Levites even became priests in the first place. You understand? The whole governing body of Israel is because people earn what it is they do.
Right.
You understand? Those Levitical priests, I think you read about that in the book of Exodus. You'll see that when Moses came off that mountain and told the children of Israel, what are you doing worshiping this calf? You understand? Moses melted that calf, took the ashes, mixed it in some water, and gave it to the people as discipline, as a form of checking, saying, why are you doing this? Why are you going against the Most High? And after he checked the nation of Israel, he told the nation of Israel, who's going to cross this line? Moses drew a line in the sand and said, whoever crosses this line, make a choice. You're going to obey the Lord or you're not. And those Levites chose that day to obey the Most High.
Right.
Those Levites crossed the line and followed Moses. And they went on to execute judgment on the nation of Israel. You understand? That priesthood is set up to govern the nation of Israel. And that's exactly what Christ is doing today. You understand? This doesn't mean you can now go eat shrimp, crab, or lobster. You understand? This doesn't mean that you can now be a homosexual. This doesn't mean that you can now go and sell drugs to people. You understand? These laws, statutes, and commandments are here for the children of Israel to obey. You understand? These laws are good for us. All right, let's keep reading. Let's jump to Acts 21 and verse 20.
Khan.
Just for time's sake.
Khan. Acts 21 and 20. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law.
So now when we read in Acts 21 and verse 20, you understand, this is the report that Paul gave to his elders. You understand? This is Paul's report after he went out and what Christians teach, went out and taught all the heathen nations. You understand? But what Paul's report to his elders was look at all these Jews that are passionate about keeping the law. You understand? A disciple of Christ was giving a good report saying, these people want to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? These people are passionate about keeping the laws of the Most High, obeying their Father. You understand? Christ never told the Pharisees that my disciples don't have to keep the Sabbath anymore. Just as his disciples didn't go around teaching that people don't have to keep the Sabbath. His disciples were saying, look at all these Jews that have a passion, a zeal of keeping the law. This is a report that he was giving. You understand? He didn't give this report saying, Look at all the people that are now eating shrimp, crab, and lobster.
Right.
Look at all these people that aren't keeping the Passover. Look at all these people that aren't keeping the Feast of First Fruits. These are people that are zealous of the law. All right, keep reading.
'21. Salakia.
Or
Matthew 21:21.
Salakia. Just let's jump to Romans chapter 2 and verse 13.
Con.
Let's drop that. Or Salakia, let's jump to Acts 22 and 12.
22 and 12. Okay, con.
Come on.
And they gave him Acts 22, verse 12. And one, Ananias, a devout man, according to the law, having a good report of all the Jews which dwelt there.
Right. This brother, he was a devout man. You understand? A devout man is somebody who keeps the law.
Right.
You understand? A devout man is somebody who follows the law. And this is what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians need to come back to.
Right.
You understand? Even if you throw away the Old Testament, when we read through the New Testament, it's going to tell you you need to keep the laws. You need to obey your father. You understand? Christ said that the whole law rests on these two things. You understand? Matter of fact, let's grab that really quick. Let's jump to Mark. What verse is that? I think that's Mark 3 and verse 20.
That's what you want. Mark 3:20. Salakia, for the sis, like just like officers for your question, Levi's are priests. How? Just like Officer Sharywan broke down, right? When Moses came down from the mountain and the Israelites were worshiping the idols, right? Learning, keeping up like what they were doing in Egypt, right? Moses basically he checked them and he said he made them have to say, are you going to stick with the law or you're going to go against it? And Levi stuck with Moses. So they became the priest.
Salakia, let's jump to Salakia.
While we wait for these precepts, if you're watching and you wanna get Hebrew benefits, right? You wanna start to keep the law. You just stick with the I.S.U.P.K, right? We're gonna drop the sign-in link. Sign in, keep watching the classes, and just keep signing into that link. Just keep hitting that link, right? And eventually, you're gonna learn how to keep the law. You're gonna learn the law, the statutes, and the commandments, and learn your culture, right? There was a culture that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans had before the oppressor sailed his ships, right, to the shores of where we were hiding in Africa and where our brothers and sisters were down south and all throughout the Americas. They had a culture. We had a culture. So it's time to wake up and get that culture back, right? Christmas, your birthday, Valentine's Day hasn't done anything for you except, listen, Valentine's Day, you slept with that sister, you slept with that brother. Where is he or she at now? Right? They didn't call you back the next day and you were hurt about it. Right? So it's time to come home.
Jump to Matthew 22 and verse 40.
Come on.
I'm gonna jump through a couple scriptures really quick. For brothers and sisters in the school, you can write down these next couple verses. If you're studying, you're following along, put these in your precepts book. These are just precepts for just cutting Christians who teach that the law is done away with. All right? Let's run through a couple scriptures really quick, and then we'll end the class.
Right. Matthew 22, verse 40. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Khan, drop that. Go to Romans 2 and verse 13, Baba Kasha.
Khan, got you.
Matthew 22 and 40 says, on these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. You understand? This is red letter. That was Christ speaking. You understand? If Christ was saying the law is done away with, he wouldn't be telling you, you understand, what all the laws rest on. You understand? He wouldn't be talking about keeping the commandments. He wouldn't be talking about keeping the law.
Salakia, what was that precept you wanted?
Let's go to Romans 2 and verse 13.
Khan.
You understand? Christ was teaching his disciples that we need to keep the law. Right? So let's go to Romans chapter 2 and verse 13. Because a lot of Christians, they like to run to the book of Romans. They like to run to Paul's writing saying that Paul said the law is done away with. You understand? But let's read what Paul said out of his own mouth.
Right? Romans 2:13. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
Right? The disciple of Christ, you understand? Paul said that not only do we have to follow Christ, but you can't just hear the law. You understand? You can't just listen to what Paul is saying. You can't just listen to what Christ is saying. You understand? But you have to actually do it. You understand? You can't just hear about the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? But only those who don't eat pork, who keep the high holy days, who keep the Passover, keep the Feast of First Fruits, don't eat shrimp. You understand? Honor their mother and their father. Only people who do the law, who keep the law, only those people are going to be justified before the Most High. You understand? Let's jump to the book of Romans chapter 6 and verse 1.
Right. And just to piggyback off what you're saying, like every Christian hears the law. They don't keep it. Right? They're not going to be justified. They're doing everything that they had Father's Day dinners on the Feast of Purim, Salakia, on the closing of the Feast of First Fruits. They had Father's Day dinners, right? When our Father told us to celebrate Feast of First Fruits.
Right.
Salakia, I'm looking for, you said Romans?
Yeah, Khan. We'll go to Romans 6 and 1. We'll go Romans 6 and 15, and then we'll end the class there.
Khan. Romans 6 and 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
Keep reading.
God forbid.
So Paul is saying here, he's saying, so what shall we say? Because Christ came, you understand, so that we would have grace.
Right.
You understand? Grace is a time period to get yourself in order. You understand? If somebody calls you and says, you got to pay your light bill, you understand, or we're going to turn your lights off, you got to understand you only have a time period to get it right. You only have a time period to pay that bill before your lights get shut off.
Right.
You understand? So Paul is saying, just because you have time to get yourself in order, does that mean that we can continue sinning? Just because Christ gave us a chance to repent, does that mean that we should keep sinning? You understand? Verse 2 says, hell no. You understand? It says, God forbid. You understand? The scriptures say that sin is the transgression of the law. You understand? Where do you read about the law? You read about the law, statutes, and commandments in the first 5 books of Moses. You understand? You learn about the law, statutes, and commandments in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. You understand? And the rest of the stories, you understand, they expound on the nation of Israel keeping the laws or disobeying. You understand? You got to read the Old Testament to know what the laws, statutes, and commandments are.
Right.
So when Paul says, God forbid, hell no, you can't continue in sin. You understand? Hell no, you can't continue to not keep the Passover, to not keep all the high holy days. You got to learn these laws. You got to learn the laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? From the priests and prophets of the Most High, from the people who teach the will of the Most High, who understand it. You understand? Who understand what Christ taught, the spirit of the law, what the Sabbath is actually about. You understand? We can't continue sinning. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we got to return to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1.
Right.
Right? We got to put the Most High first in everything. Understand? Christ said to love the Most High with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. These are things that we have to return to. You understand? And Salakia, just for the time's sake, I'll just respond to this brother and then we'll close out.
Okay.
Because absolutely not. You can't judge a person on high holy days. You understand? Because as you come into the truth and as you begin to follow Christ, you understand, as you begin to keep the Passover, you can't look back on a brother's past when he wasn't keeping the Passover. You understand? You can't look back on a brother's past, you understand, who wasn't circumcised on the 8th day. You understand? At the age of 40, you understand, you cannot be circumcised on the 8th day. You understand? So you have to have a circumcision of the heart.
Right.
No, you don't judge a person based off of high holy days, because now you're actually keeping them.
Right.
And to the brother Gabar, it would be wise for you to get in class. You understand? It would be wise for you to humble yourself down so you can understand what those scriptures are talking about. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we got to return back to these laws. You understand? We got to return back to obeying the Father. You understand? Putting the Most High first in everything. You understand? So with that, just for that, that's our time. I'm going to end the class there. Let's clap it up. We're going to do the, I'm going to give the security announcements and then we'll salute out.
Salakia, before you do the security announcements, for everyone who's watching, through water for watching, don't forget Commanding General Yahanna is live right now. Go check out Commanding General Yahanna on YouTube. 9 p.m. Wednesdays, 9 p.m. on Saturdays, and 9 p.m. on Mondays.
Solomon Khan, damn right. Damn right. Water for that, sir.
No sweat.
No saying Christ. So these are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, which is started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find that in Numbers chapter 18 and 21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra, which means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give, please give. Upcoming holy convocations, Salakia. We just finished the Feast of First Fruits. You understand? That was a beautiful event. Toronto we just had. You understand? Psalms 133 and 1 says how beautiful it is for brothers and sisters to dwell in unity. You understand? And we absolutely did that this weekend. You understand? Honoring the Most High. And that's what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians got to return to. Salakia, so let me pull this up. Our next high holy day, we have the memorial of blowing of trumpets. Salakia, don't touch it. No, go over there. Next high holy day, we just finished the Feast of First Fruits. We have memorial of blowing of trumpets. For the first day of the 7th month, which is Monday 6, September 2021. You can find the memorial of blowing in trumpets in Leviticus chapter 23, verses 24 to 25. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M, which means stand. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M Shabbat. I.M.A.J.M, Barak, Yahweh Hashem, Yad Yamatah, means hands down. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I.M.A.J.M Shabbat. I.M.A.J.M, Barak, Yahweh Shamar. That means may Yahweh watch over you, sisters, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yad Yamatah, which means hands down. Class dismissed.
Clap it up.